I skimmed through the Metanet language white papers, I got the impression that Metanet might be the technical arm of EFNIL, or to put it differently, that EFNIL could be something like the linguistic branch of Metanet. To substantiate this in no way alarming impression, let me briefly introduce you to an organization where the national institutes on the various European languages are connected. That is, other than the next speakers on this panel, I will not discuss the situation of multilingualism in the individual countries, but briefly present the network of institutions, each of which is concerned with the linguistic conditions in their country. 12 years ago, representatives of the central language institutes of 9 European countries met at my institute in Mannheim to discuss the situation of their languages within the European context. All of us, I have to admit, were linguistic egotists. That is, we were mainly concerned with each of our languages, of our own languages, and its preservation and further development. However, in our discussion, we became more and more aware of the fact that the future of each of our languages is inevitably entwined with the general political and social development of Europe, and in this context, with the development of the other European languages. Thus, a motto for one of our declarations sometime after the first conference was one of Goethes Maxims: Wer fremde Sprachen nicht kennt, weiß nichts von seiner eigenen. Those who do not know other languages do not understand their own. Or to give it a more active term, if you want to do something for your own language, do also care for other languages. Members of other language academies and central language institutes of other European countries soon joined us. Our goals got more and more European, and our network was officially founded in 2003 in Stockholm under the name of European Federation of National Institutions for Language, abbreviated EFNIL, and of course in the translation of this name in all the languages of our members. The members of the newly found EFNIL agreed to promote European linguistic diversity with particular reference to the national languages of the countries that are also accepted as official languages of the Union. They came about to encourage a coordinated approach towards mother tongue learning and foreign language learning in their countries as a means to promoting linguistic and cultural diversity within the Union. The reason for focusing on the official languages of the EU was that there are already other organizations which are actively engaged in the interests and the main indigenous, regional and minority languages in Europe. One must also not forget that since 1992 there has been a charter for the regional and minority languages in Europe, a corresponding charter that would guarantee or that would enhance a harmonious togetherness of the main languages, of the official languages, is, as we all know, still missing. Since 2 years, EFNIL is complete. That is, the central language institutions, language academies or similar institutes have become members. In addition, Comparable institutes of other European countries joined EFNIL as associate members, thus far from Norway, Iceland and Croatia. In a series of annual conferences, we discussed topics such as linguistic functional domains, language legislation, cooperation in terminology, foreign language learning, language use in business and commerce, and other topics of special interest for all or most of our members. 2 years ago, the general theme of our conference in Thessaloniki offered a first opportunity for a cooperation with MetaNet. The topic was language and new technology, ICT in the use of languages. Since most of the EFNIL delegates are linguists or philologists, that is, most of them laymen in ICT, we were grateful to, among others, to Hans Uskureit of MetaNet for the overview on new developments in ICT that he contributed to the conference. At our conference last year in London, Georg Rehn, another representative of MetaNet, presented a compact version of the MetaNet white paper that are being discussed today in more detail. This way, it became clear to my colleagues and to me to what extent the aims of EFNIL and MetaNet converge. Both organizations want to contribute to the preservation and further development of the linguistic diversity in Europe, since we all consider it as essential also for the cultural diversity and to the cultural wealth of our continent. As far as I can see, MetaNet's central activities are to stimulate and bundle the technical efforts to achieve this goal. The members of EFNIL, on the other hand, are more engaged in language research, language planning and teaching, and not to forget, in raising the multilingual awareness and plurilingual competence of their countrymen. 15 or maybe 16 years ago, I visited the Conseil de la Langue Française in Paris and met with Bernard Quemada, then the head of this important institution. We discussed European multilingualism and its effect on cultural exchange in our continent. When I pointed at some of the difficulties caused by the linguistic diversity, Bernard advised me to be patient. I do not quite recall his wording, but he said something like, let's just wait for another 10 or 15 years. Language technology is making so much progress that the interlingual communication between Europeans will then be technically solved. We will then have machines that act as reliable interpreters between all European languages. He countered my argument that then there would be no need to learn foreign languages any longer. He countered it by saying that there would always be some educational value in learning foreign languages. My French colleague was probably not the only one, the only optimist concerning progress in language technology. Today, we know that we are still far from having little portable machines that help us to converse with the speakers of all languages we do not know. However, as some of the MetaNet white papers briefly demonstrate, and as several speakers will show at this conference, ICT offers already a great variety of auxiliary devices and processes that support communication within our own languages and across language barriers, and that also help us in linguistic research and language teaching. Therefore, I hope that we can continue the exchange of knowledge and experience, and perhaps even come to concrete cooperation in joint projects. This is my hope. Thank you for your patience.